Thank you. Sorry. I'm Natalie. I'm an alcoholic. Thank you, Phil, for asking me to share. Anytime I'm asked to be of service in whatever way, shape, or form, I've been taught to say yes. I'm sorry. I have a dog that I swear was so quiet the whole day. I haven't heard his bark all day. And the moment that I press unmute, he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna make my debut." But anyway, I have a sobriety date. It's September 17th, 2018. I have a home group. It's the Miami group. I have a sponsor, and I also sponsor other women. Give me one. I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to get him down. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If it's not my child, it's my dog. Okay, so I asked Phil, how long am I going to talk for? What am I supposed to talk about? What do you want me to talk about? And I like that he wrote back, solution based, right? Like, I'm going to give you my experience, my strength, and my hope, solution based. Before I do that, like, I don't like to go into drug war stories and stuff like that, or drinking stories, whatever. But just so you get an idea, I am 30 currently, and I started drinking when I would say 14 or 15 years old. I was the type of kid that I was very polite. I was very smart, I guess you could say. I was the type of kid that I didn't really have to study very much. You kind of told me things, I got it. I passed tests. And I kind of used that to my advantage as I got older. But I was very much in my head all the time. I didn't know I didn't have any words to say it at the time. I'm in my head or anything like that. But I was constantly in my head, and I was constantly putting myself down, constantly thinking, what are you thinking about me? Whatever you're thinking about me, I'm going to think it first so I can beat you to it, and it was normal for me. I wasn't really looking for a solution when I drank, when I smoked, when I did anything for the first time. I just kind of did it because everybody else was doing it. And I'm very nervous when I talk, right? So I move my hands a lot, and I kind of just needed something to hold so that my hands weren't just flying everywhere. So I grabbed the malt liquor that they offered me. And I had a high school boyfriend. He, as most of my stories start off, and he was very much like me. And actually now he is in and out of the rooms as well, which is funny. I hadn't seen him since I was like 18. I saw him back in the rooms. I saw him again, when I came into the rooms. Anyway, I started drinking, and I remember thinking, I always use this story to kind of let everybody know what it is that alcohol did for me. And I was thinking that day, we were in the car, and there were some people in the car with us. And like I said, I wasn't looking for a solution, but it hit me. I was drinking, and all of a sudden my thoughts went from the usual, like, I feel fat, I'm stupid, I'm not gonna say anything funny, they're gonna laugh at me, he's gonna want to break up with me after he sees how stupid I am, he's gonna kick me out of the car, how am I gonna go to school tomorrow with everybody after this experience, right? And all these thoughts are just like rolling through my head, and it won't stop. After like the third or fourth swig of that Old English, it was game over. It was, all of a sudden, I was making everybody laugh. I was making plans with them for the next weekend. They wanted to talk to me. I felt pretty out. The alcohol made me, in my head, it made me prettier, nicer, funnier, smarter. It made me feel like I was 6 foot tall and nobody could tell me anything. It made me who I wanted to be. Again, I wasn't looking for the solution, but once it hit me, I didn't want to let go of it. I wasn't off to the races, as people say. I wasn't like right then and there. I wasn't drinking constantly, but I was constantly thinking or coming up with ways and planning ways of how I can get that feeling again. So I'm just gonna fast forward to, that was about 14, 15 years old. About 18, I break up with said high school boyfriend, and things got crazy pretty quick. You know, I guess I thought I'm not tied down anymore. And I had my 19th birthday or something that weekend. I still to this day don't remember that birthday. I don't remember many birthdays. I at 23 got pregnant with my son. He is the light of my life. And I think it's very important to let you know how much I love my son. I love my son more than anything. But it wasn't enough for me to stop drinking. You know, I thought it was. I was those 9-10 months that I was pregnant, I was dry as you could be. And I really thought that I was gonna be like a sober Pinterest mom, you know, that's all I ever wanted to be. And then when he was born, 5 hours later, my drug dealer was in my hospital room. So, you know, it wasn't enough. It's not that I don't love him. It's just this disease that I have that centers in my mind. It's that powerful. It's going to take over everything, and it doesn't care who you are. It's going to get its fix. So finally, when I was 27, I had an experience. I had a Tinder date gone wrong, and I ended up with broken bones, bruised everywhere. And you know, my dad, who doesn't cry over anything, he is this old school macho, like, you know, just doesn't cry. I think I've seen him cry once. And he was like sobbing at the foot of my bed, just like, when are you, like, what did I do wrong? When are you gonna change? You know, and I remember looking at him thinking, like, it was just a bad night, you know, like, he was a psycho. I could have met the psycho anywhere, you know, like, I was just making, you know, justifying everything. And I still thought that I had like a good handle on things. So I went for about 9 more months, 10 more months. It got to the point that I didn't leave my house. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was scared of people. I was hallucinating. I thought that there were people inside of specifically, I thought that prisoners were in my vents, because I had a boyfriend who was in prison. And I thought that like the people that he was surrounding himself with would get out, go into my thing and put cameras, like, you know, all these psychotic things that normal people don't go through. I have yet to meet a normal person that tells me that experience, or that hears that experience and says, oh yeah, I relate. You know, this is something unique that I can talk about in AA. And like, while maybe it wasn't your exact experience, you at least get it. You know, if you have what I have, then you get it. Anyway, it got to the point that I didn't want to live anymore. So I decided that I was gonna call the suicide hotline. I did, and they gave me information. The girl, I don't remember her name, but she saved my life. She gave me some type of information for treatment, like very vague information, right? Like, I ended up going on a search later on with my mother, and that, like 3 days later, I was driving to a treatment center. I got into that treatment center on September 15th, 2018. And I do not say that my sobriety date is until September 17th, because like a good alcoholic, I was drinking and drugging my whole way up there, you know? And they had to roll me into that treatment center. I had to detox, and September 17th was the first day that I did not have eye count, that I didn't have anything in my system, altering me from the neck up. So from there, that's where my life changed. I met a boy, again, as many of my stories go. And God, I think, really knows his kids, you know, and he knew how to get to me. And I was not going to pay attention to well-meaning women in AA. I was going to pay attention to the cute boy that was going to take me to the meeting. And I did. He ended up, I was in treatment for about 2 months. He took me to an AA meeting. And that meeting was filled with people that Phil was talking about. It was that night, Adolfo was chairing the meeting, and he was speaking. And I remember today Adolfo is this guy who has absolutely changed my life. He taught me things on how to be a mother, and Paul was there, and Paul ended up being my first sponsor. He's this big teddy bear who, he has this attitude, but he's just so loving. I think he has one of the biggest hearts I know. And Henry and all these people that I met that night that are still in my life today. And that's where my solution came in. I didn't think I wanted a solution. I didn't think I wanted to stop drinking. In our traditions, it says, tradition 3, the only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. I had no desire to stop drinking. I mean, I came in thinking I was a drug addict, right? I could have admitted to you, I did admit at the time that, okay, I have a problem with the pills. I got a problem with the drugs. I can't do that anymore, but I can still drink, right? Like, I couldn't fathom a life without beer. I couldn't fathom a life without being tipsy or drunk or anything like that, because it just did something for me. And I couldn't fathom or comprehend that it was my problem. And it wasn't my problem. It was my solution. It really was. I didn't want to do the steps, but I kind of wanted to impress the guy that started taking me to the meetings. So I was like, okay, I'll jump in this. We'll be Mr. and Mrs. AA. And, a month later, he breaks up with me, starts dating another girl in another group. And I, out of vengeance, because I'm going to show him I'm going to stay sober, I started doing my steps, and I did. And you know what? I don't know where he is today. And I do pray for him because he is a big, big part of my story. But I'm sober. So, something happened. I started working my steps. I started relating to you guys. I listened to you guys. I remember when I first started coming to the meetings, I would see people laugh, like making jokes about suicide and laughing. And I was just like, what type of crazy cult am I in? And like, I remember my dad was like, because I went head in, right? I don't know who else can relate to me on this, but I have a very intense personality. If I'm going to drink, I'm going to drink till I'm blacked out for the next 4 days. If I'm in AA, I'm going to go to every meeting that I can go to, and I'm going to get all the numbers that people tell me to do, because I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I never drank half a beer. I'm not going to go to one meeting a week. I'm going to go to all of them that I can get to. So, my dad was like, but you're switching one addiction for another. They're trying to brainwash you. And then I heard Henry, who Phil was talking about, he said he was my grand sponsor at the time. And he was like, well, they told me that at one point, and he would, you know what, if they're brainwashing me, my mind needed some cleaning. And I was like, that makes sense. All right. And eventually my dad got to, again, I'm my dad's baby. He didn't know what to do with me. He saw me in some very like terrible situations and terrible condition. And he didn't know what was happening. He kind of was just like, this girl is dumb. She's gonna get into some terrible things, right? But like, he sees the change that AA has had in my life. He sees the change that my son has towards me. My son was about, I want to say he was 2.5 when I went into treatment, and he was not upset that I left. He said bye to me, but he was, more than anything, he was upset that his dad was leaving that day, because his dad was the one driving me. And he was holding on to his leg, and like, I wanted to say bye to him, and he wouldn't let go of his dad, and it's not because he hated me. He was 2.5. He's pure little baby. He doesn't know what hate is, but kids are pretty honest and like very blunt when it comes to, if you give me attention, if you make me happy, I like you. If you don't, kind of indifferent. And I wasn't there, I lied to myself a lot that I was there for him. And my son growing, when he was 1, when he was born, I remember he had this test done, like a heel stick test. I didn't know that this even existed until I had my son, but it's basically like a little blood test that they do, and they have to prick the bottom of their heel, which obviously sounds, I mean, you tell me, I'm 30 right now, and like I would have ran out. I wouldn't have let you do that to me. They did that to him in front of me and he didn't cry. And from that moment on, I was like, there's just something, it's like, it's a mom thing, whether you're an alcoholic or not. It's a mom thing. I was like, something is going on. Why is he not crying? I remember thinking that, and I just looked at my mom and I was like, something that's not normal, and with that in my mind, and my mom being just as hypochondriac and just as crazy as I am, we got my son evaluated at a pretty early age, about 1.5. He was diagnosed with autism, which is now being treated. I cry when it comes to my son, I'm sorry. And I wasn't present for any of the evaluations. I remember because of the diagnosis, there was a caseworker, and she would come by every month, and she'd ask questions just to see how everything was going. It wasn't like a CPS caseworker. It was just for his diagnosis. And I remember her telling me one day, and she's like, how do you not know your son's pediatrician's name? How do you not know the diagnosis? Like, I've been coming here for about, I don't know how many months or whatever. And I was like, and like I said, I love my son. I love him more than anything. He is in his room screaming. I don't know if you guys can hear him or not, but he's playing on his Roblox and he's going crazy. And I'm so happy that, my parents were around, and that his father was around when I wasn't able to, when my alcoholism was very, it had taken control of me. And I wasn't able to be the mother and the nurturer that I was supposed to be for him. Because now he has his therapies, and he has done a complete 180, and he's everything. He's everything to me. I don't know if she's on anymore, but I have a friend of mine that's from my home group. She was on here, and she's met my son. I've met her kids, and she can tell you that when my son is around me, he's happy now. He's happy, and he knows that mama is going to help with his homework, and he knows that I'm gonna. It's funny, actually. It's Hispanic Heritage Month, and then they have a project at school. He's in 1st grade now, and he has to do it on Colombia. We're not Colombian. I'm Cuban. He's half Venezuelan. So he goes to them. It was a Monday, which I have home group that night, and he got scared. He thought that the homework was due the next day, and he's like, "But my mama has a meeting, and we're not Colombian." And I was like, oh, "Calm down." I told my friend, and he's like, "Whoa, anonymity," and and it was just, my son knows. He doesn't know that the meetings, changed mama, right? But he knows that I have this group of people. He knows that I do this on Mondays. I do it on Thursdays. I go and I do my treatment center, my HNIs. I have my sponsees who have met my son, and they're just like, I'm forever grateful for this program. I can't tell you how grateful I am that I get to be a mother. I get to be a friend. I get to be a daughter. Are there times that me and my parents argue? Oh my God, unbelievably, but I get to be there for my parents now. My dad is currently going through, I guess, neurological things, and, he's getting older, and it's scary. It's another one I cry about when I talk. I'm sorry, but I get to be there for them, and I have friends in the program that at 2 a.m, when my father is going through his like hallucinations or whatever, they talk to me, and if they've gone through it, they tell me what they've gone through, and just like AA, in the like relating as an alcoholic, like we relate, we talk, we're there for each other. And it's just, I always wanted to, I said this the other day on a Thursday night. I always wanted to be like a part of the Friends cast, because I wanted like a big group of friends, like people that just hang out and talk and like live life together. And like, who knew I would have found it with like a 50-year-old gay man and like somebody who was living on the streets like a year prior, you know, like I would have never ever thought that. But I couldn't have asked for a better story, you know. I absolutely, my sobriety changed when I was about a year sober. I was happy. Yeah, everything was great. You know, again, wasn't looking for a solution. I thought I was good. I thought it was like top notch, right? And my home group was putting on a traditions and concepts workshop. Now, well, if you asked me then, I was like, oh, traditions and concepts. Those are the things that like you hang on the walls, you know, in the rooms, and that's it, right? I didn't know what it was. Or you talk about it in the beginning of the meeting, like some groups talk about it, right? Like they recite them or whatever. And but then this lady from California, Debbie D, came and she gave the I think the most amazing workshop I had ever been in. Did I understand everything she was talking about? Absolutely not. But she was just the way she carried herself, the way she was, just the way she spoke, the way she looked, everything, the way she explained things. You know, I exaggerate. I understood a few of the things she talked about. And it made sense. And it just, again, it changed the trajectory of my life, my sobriety, my everything. And I started telling my sponsor at the time, like, hey, I didn't know that there were more steps or things that you could go through. Let's do it, right? And I then went through the traditions with a sponsor, and I am a true AA nerd when it comes to the traditions. I love it. I absolutely love it. On Thursdays, I have one of my friends that when I came into AA, he was there. He was the first one that got me into service. He's doing a tradition series with me at our home group on the traditions, like the flyer that you put out, like, hey, this person's speaking on this date at this time. And, you know, had you told me 3 years ago, you're going to be speaking on the traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous at your home group on, 3 years time, I would have thought you were psycho. Give me just a second, Papu. There he is. And I would have thought you were crazy, you know, like I was like, that's not what I think I want, right? I thought I wanted a boyfriend. I wanted a better job. I wanted more money. I wanted to be Ariana Grande. Like, I didn't want your traditions. I didn't want your steps. I didn't want your sponsees. Like, that might work for you and that's cool, but like, no, I don't want that, you know? And my life is so full now. My life is so full. I go to treatment centers and I talk to the women there. I do my home group commitments. I have a son I locked the door. How he manages to unlock it is beyond me. I have a son who loves me and is here, you know.
Hi there.
Give me a second, Bob, okay? And he knows that he can do this. Prior to AA, Mama would have freaked out. Mama would have screamed. Mama would have not been able to handle anything, you know? Mama would have had to go to the corner store and get her medicine to calm down, right? And now he knows he can do that, and he goes out and
I literally put my nails on in the locker and then open it.
Okay.
Because I get around.
I'm sorry, guys. He is a big light in everybody's life down here. He is everything. But yeah, I mean, if there's anything that God may have wanted is for you to see that the life that I have today is beautiful. You know, I absolutely adore my life. It's literally all because of the program of AA.
This clown.
Give me a second, okay?
This clown needs to be dead.
Jordan.
Sorry.
This program has given me just a life beyond my dreams. Like I said, I thought I wanted to be Ariana Grande. I don't have a life like hers, but you know, I go to sleep at night, I get on my knees and I thank God for everything I have. And I pray for the things that still go on in my head, and I pray and I pray. And then what do I do next? I make sure that my sponsees are okay. And somehow everything manages to just work out, you know. That's my solution. That's my solution, you know. If you have what I have, if you felt like I felt before drinking, if alcohol gave you the solution that it gave me, then this program could give you the solution it's given me as well. And it's not as quick as, you know, a few shots of tequila, but when it hits, when it works, it's just magical. You know, I'm very, very grateful for my life, for the program, for my sponsor, my sponsees, everything. If you're new or not new and like the new car smell has worn off, you know, throwing yourself into help with somebody else is what, in my experience, has always helped me. No matter what I'm going through, whether I'm going through early recovery cravings, late in recovery cravings, you know, issues with my family, issues with work, issues with anything, right? Like, it's what works. It works for me, you know, and I don't know if anything else would have ever worked. Well, I know that anything else I did try never worked. I tried everything. I tried acupuncture. I tried spirituality in the means of, like, you know, Caribbean witchcraft. It sounds more scary than it is. And you know, I thought these things were gonna fix me, and nothing fixed me. Nothing. You know, I remember my mom taking me once because she was at her wit's end, poor woman, you know. She took me to like therapy sessions, and she would take me to doctors and all these, you know, things that would work, and they're good. They're good things, and they work for people that need it, you know. But it just wasn't fixing my problem. My problem was it was at a spiritual level, you know, and none of these medicines and none of these needles of the acupuncture or anything was going to fix it. I had to fix it at a spiritual level. You know, I have a connection with God today that is the most important thing that I have. I have days that, you know, it'll be like 11 in the morning at work, and I'll realize, man, I don't think I prayed this morning. I don't think I did anything this morning. I didn't listen to a speaker tape. I didn't do anything, you know? And then, like, no wonder it feels like my life is like a dumpster fire, right? It just feels weird. It just feels odd if I don't do these things anymore. And I came in real angry with God, you know? I didn't want anybody to teach my son about God. I didn't want to talk about it. If you did talk about it to me, I wanted to offend you in every way possible so that you would just leave me alone and not bring it up anymore. So when I heard God in the steps or in the program, in the book, I was totally turned off to it. Finally, somebody just kind of explained that it's my own conception of it. It's not the one that you grew up with. It's not the one that, you know, I was told is going to be mad and like send me to hell if I did something wrong, because God knows, if you knew my whole story, direct, you know, red eye straight to hell, because, you know, I had no hope. I had no hope for it. But today my God is loving. My God is my God is forgiving. My God is it's just love, you know. And I love this program. I know that wasn't 15 minutes. I'm sorry. I'm gonna leave it at that though. That's all I have. Thank you for letting me share.